Hi, very good morning to you. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, as you know, tomorrow we'll be doing the latest magnetic pole positioning for you, and we'll put that up as we normally do. Sitting here, my morale is absolutely deflated, and I could quite easily just go and sit in the garden and just waste the afternoon away, or find something else to occupy my mind, because it really is saddening what is taking place at the moment. And I will be removed from this stage very shortly, and I'll show you a little bit why in the video, because there is not enough support for the truth in this day and age. It's a sad reality, and I want to thank those people that got us to where we are right now, and it doesn't look like we will be going much further forward, not by choice, but by the political movements from the United Nations and all the other countries that make up the United Nations, and their political views. What we're seeing right now, and I'm not kidding, and you just need to watch this space over the next few months, what we're seeing right now is an elimination of somebody with an alternative view to the gender that they're pushing. And what that will do is just bring back those Nazis from the Second World War that were burning literature and denying people democracy and the freedom of speech, because what they are now accusing me of is being responsible for causing conflicts and destroying, can you believe, democracy. I always said, and I have done, if you've watched me for a few times, you'll know I've always been a firm believer in allowing people the right to express their views regardless, because science has taught me something, that you can think you're on the right track until something else comes along. It's almost testing the metaphor of theory. I just want to show you a few things, that's all, and we can leave it there until tomorrow. As you can see, humans are responsible for global warming according to the United Nations. Climate scientists, and we know that those 1,000 are, one of them is Mickey Mouse, have showed that humans are responsible for virtually all the heating over the last 200 years. Human activity, like the ones mentioned above, are causing greenhouse gases that are warming the world faster than at any time in the last 2,000 years. The average temperature of the Earth's surface is now 1.1 degree Celsius warmer than it was in the 1800s, before the Industrial Revolution began. I've showed you charts, haven't I, guys? We're at the lowest temperature than we've been at, nearly 8,500 years. And again, the Industrial Revolution began before the 1800s. And I think that what they're referring to is the Second Industrial Revolution. The last decade, between 2011 and 2020, was the warmest on record. Again, I've showed you in the last 8,500 years that we're at the lowest temperature, and each of the last 4 decades has been warmer than any previous decade since 1850. It's not true. Many people think climate change mainly means warmer temperatures, but the temperature rise is only the beginning of the story, because the Earth is a system where everything is connected. Changes in one area can influence changes in all others. They never talked about the returning back into a glacial period once, and they've never talked about the magnetic poles reversing on our planet, and they've not talked about the low solar output of sunspot activity, because all those things are climate influences, mechanisms. I want to go and show you now what the Secretary General, which is the head guy, his comments are, and just go through a few of those so you know exactly where we're coming from and how things are going to change and what they are doing right now to people on the digital space that have a viewpoint different to theirs, and I want to show you how they are criminalising them for just having a voice of a different opinion. So we'll start with the Secretary General's most recent comments, and then we'll work our way back. This is the Secretary General, the guy that runs the United Nations. So this is on the 12th of August 2023, this month, only a few days ago. From innovation, sustainability technologies and renewable energy to revolutions in transport systems and industrial activity, young people must be equipped with the skills and knowledge to shape a cleaner, greener, more climate resilient future. And then on the July the 27th, he says, we must turn a year of burning heat into a year of burning ambition and accelerate climate action now. On the 24th of July, we need food systems that can help end senseless war on our planet, food system transformation and fundamental reducing carbon emissions and limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. On the 3rd of July, addressing climate change is a human rights issue and the world demands action now. On the 3rd of July, he also commented, this meeting of the Marine Environment Protection Committee is a chance to steer us towards a clean, prosperous future for the industry and a safer future for humanity. Sound the alarm, stand up for each other and our planet and human rights. Well, human rights also include freedom of speech, freedom of right to have opinions on anything you want. So, we'll get to why I'm mentioning this to you guys in a minute. I have proposed an SDG stimulus of $500 billion per year for investment in sustainable development and climate. So, $500 billion is a hell of a lot of money. And they want to raise that every year, and this is what I'm saying, they are in your pockets without your permission. I ask for a donation only if you feel you want to support what I talk about. These guys just take it from you, and without any scientific fact, they talk about these things, but it's clear what they're after, just that money. That's what all this is about. It's not about global warming, because they have got scientists that know that where we are right now in the last 8,000 years, we're at the lowest temperature in that time period. By acting to counter threats to our planet that grow beyond national boundaries, you are demonstrating that global threats deserve global action. And I call on all fossil fuel companies to present credible, comprehensive and detailed new transition plans fully in line with the recommendations of the high-level expert group on net zero pledges. You're never going to achieve it. First of all, what they're trying to do is remove 0.4% of a gas in the atmosphere, which is, as they know, a trace gas. The proliferation of hate and lies in the digital space is causing grave global harm. Now it is fueling conflict, death and destruction. Now it is threatening democracy and human rights. Now it is undermining public health and climate action now. speech that you've just seen there, guys, is why I am saying that I am on the hit list quite clearly, and I have heard already that there is a clean-up going on, and because I talk about such matters, and I come from a credible background in science, they are going to come after me and our observatory. They talk about all these things, and it makes me feel like just putting my head in my hands and crying, because you can just see what they've said there on the 12th of June, what they're going to do, because he now wants to actually not uphold the human rights, not uphold freedom of speech and the right to talk on subjects as you want. He wants to go after those people because he believes that we are the ones that cause him conflict, death and destruction. I don't own an ICBM, not one. I don't own any Starstreak missiles, and I'm not handing them out to people that will use these things. It's not me. All I have is a mouth. And this brings me to the Bible in the end times. We're talking about, the white horse, the pale horse. And what is it that he uses to overcome the world's militaries? If you ever read the Bible, you'll know that he speaks with his forked tongue, and it upsets them that much that it destroys them. And of course, they don't want anyone using their mouth as a weapon, because it is more harmful than any bomb, bullet, or anything other in that category. And they know it. And that's why they want to target just a few other people, like myself, I'm not going to mention other names. You know who they are. They are getting, exterminated. They are being silenced. And it will happen, guarantee you that. Here, it will be no different. And then at that point, there is no source of alternative information on these topics. It's a real sad day for science, and it's a sadder day for humanity. They don't really care about people, because if they did, they would address a problem that they don't even talk about. And that is the fact that since we've become technological, advanced and mechanised, we have did ourselves out the only reason we came to cities in the first place. And that is, the ability to obtain a job so that you can participate in the monetary system and have an enjoyable life. It's over, guys. They don't care about human beings. They care about that 500 billion every year, and you know where that money ends up. You understand why that man is able to have that 40-foot yacht. It's because the money came from all of us and was distributed through all of them, and they are, and they always will be, the 1% and less. I just shaking my head right now, because it's unbelievable. This is an educated man, and he's talking about, on one hand, human rights, freedom of speech, and then on the other, he's slamming people on the internet, as he calls it, the digital space, for fueling conflict, death and destruction. I'm just a man. I've got no guns, no bullets, no missiles, no aircraft carriers, nothing. I've just got a mouth and a brain that runs it. And of course, you know why they're only talking about the last 200 years and not going back any further in our history? Because they would shoot themselves in the foot if they did. What you're looking at here is the truth. You can see the medieval warm period was much higher than it is now. The Roman warm period was even higher than the medieval warm period. And as someone said in the comment section, guess why it got the name Greenland? It was because at one point in time it was green, lush, and the Vikings could inhabit it. But it changed, and it changed because of the cycles of interglacials and glacial periods. We are going back into a glacial period, and it's clearly shown on this, and that's just looking at 8,000 years, the last 8,200 years. If you go back 13,000 years before the Younger Dryas, you'll see that we was in a glacial period. I've pointed out that we only stay in interglacials where it gets warmer for a limited time in this cycle. It is the peak, really, as we've seen in the other diagrams that I've showed and charts. But that's why they won't talk about anything further back than 200 years, because clearly, what they would do is embarrass themselves. But because people like me show the truth, we're targets and we're accused of causing conflicts, causing the death and destruction of this world. I ask you, put it to you guys, am I the one that should be silenced here for talking about this? This is why I say cities are no longer places for human beings. Because of the policies within them and the laws. I would be a much happier man if I could go back to the times where, we just built our hut wherever we wanted without planning permission, and, got a few chickens, a pig or whatever, and just, got together on the evening, ate some food, round a fire, and just chilled out. Because doesn't it almost give you a headache thinking about the city? I've got to get into the city, I've got to pay congestion charges, clean air charges, car's got to be taxed, car's got to have fuel in it, I need money in my pocket before I get there, I might need to pay for the car park. It's just, they're not desirable places anymore, regardless of the amenities that they provide. They're not high anymore on the list of needs because of what they cost. There is a balance, and I think that balance has tipped a long time ago. First of all, there's no jobs. You have to pay extortionate amounts of money for rent or accommodation. Then you've got the amenities, the bills, electric, gas, council tax. They've already almost, even if you own your house outright, you're still on the drip for them. You're still paying council tax or other taxes, property tax, rates, rents. That's why this world has took a turn for the worst. That's why right now a small and limited amount of people have managed to bring hell on this earth. And it could have been a beautiful heaven right now, where people are smiling. But if you look around, they're miserable, they're unhappy, they're angry, they're frustrated. All that is going round in their minds is, where the hell do we get next month's money from, and are we guaranteed that we can get that money? Because there is no job security anymore. And we haven't seen the effects that artificial intelligence is going to release yet, because there's already talk that this could be the third or fourth or even fifth, whichever one we're at the moment, or which one is next, revolution. you know, we are becoming an extinct species because of our own doing, or just because a small amount of horrible people are destroying this world and destroying people's ability to have a happy life. What does it take to encourage more people at this point in time to support this observatory and support, you know, the work that we do? What does it take? How do you motivate people at this point in time to help and try and change things? I really don't know the answer to that. Guys, there's a link down there in the description if you want to. It's not mandatory. Other people hopefully get the information that they need. I'll say what I usually do. As always, bye for now.